I'm not going to say much because we kind of want to get going, but a little bit about Yi-Chung. Got his bachelor's and master's at UC Santa Cruz. And has been an academic program manager at Hatfield for many years. I'm not sure exactly. Approaching 10?
Oh, no.
16, 17. Oh. 17. Hey, sorry. Yeah. Same as me, but not at Hatfield. But he's done a lot there through the years, and recently transitioned from a senior instructor position to an assistant professor of practice position, which is, like I mentioned this before, a really great match for what he does out there. So he's going to tell us today about 3 different things, I think, about what's going on at Hatfield and what he does. And I'm not going to say no more.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And do we have a clock in here? No, we don't have a clock in here? All right. So, mind if I shut this door?
You don't want people coming to find you.
Yeah, I'm a little anxious. And if you want to shut that door back there, that might keep the space a little bit warmer.
You know, I can give you a time indicator.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you for that introduction. Again, my name is Yi-Chung Chung. I'm the academic program manager at the Hatfield Marine Science Center. Again, also a new assistant professor of practice, which will be kind of an interesting match and move forward. I pronounce my name Yi-Chung Chung. My pronouns are he, him, his. And shall I just go ahead and I always like to get a sense of who's my audience. Always like to ask a few questions at the beginning of a talk, get a sense of who's in the room. So today I'm going to talk about the Marine Science Center. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the courses and experiential education that happens at the Marine Science Center. And then I'm going to talk about really the last 3 years since 2020. Remember that incident that happened at the beginning of 2020 and the impacts of that, and actually being a catalyst for a lot of really innovative, I would say, teaching pedagogies, opening up that area, which is what I'm really interested in about in conversations with all of you in the department. So here is my first question. How many of you have been at the Hatfield Marine Science Center? Okay, that's great. So all of you are familiar with the Marine Science Center. Now, how many of you have heard of the Organization of Biological Field Stations, OBFS? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And how many of you have heard of the National Association of Marine Labs, NAML? Not so great. That's okay. It's a biology department, right? Not a marine science department. How many of you have had field experiences? Okay. A lot of you, right? Okay. And of course, how many of you remember start of fall term 2020? What? So think back. Take a moment and think back, okay? It was just announced spring 2020, shutdown, summer of lots of camping, lots of people going outdoors, and then fall term was our first real academic start with the pandemic. We at the Marine Science Center had the summer of 2020 as our fall. So what you experienced in the fall of 2020, we were scrambling in the summer of 2020 with our field courses. That's the busiest time of the year at our Marine Science Center. Okay. And then one last question is, how many of you recall the goals of OSU's new strategic plan for 2024 to 2030? Right? Okay, a couple. So, for those of you who don't know, you should read. It's a short document. I mean, at least the summary. The summary is
reading material for first-year graduate students for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you think about the direction where we're going, the direction of our university. So these are some of the things I want to touch upon. All right, so let's get to it. Part 1, I'm going to talk about the place, the Hatfield Marine Science Center. Part 2, experiential education, and really specifically place-based learning. And then finally, part 3, pandemic transformations. Okay, the first place. Here we go. Hatfield Marine Science Center, beautiful campus. I just drove from there. But before I do that, I'd like to acknowledge this area of land that we work in on the Oregon coast is in the ancestral lands of the Tillamook, Siletz, Yaquina, Kalapuya, and Siuslaw peoples where we base our work. If you're not familiar, in late 1855, a lot of ratified this order ratified a lot of treaties in 1855 all across the country for indigenous lands and basically putting mostly all the indigenous folks on different reservations. We have two of them here, the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, Community of Oregon, and the Confederated Tribes of the Siletz Indians. If you're curious, wherever you are in the country, wanting to know the work that you do, whether it's the field work that you do or the courses that you take in those locations, you can find out more about that local indigenous community through that website, okay? So the Marine Science Center is on this big sand spit right in Yaquina Bay. And that sand spit happens to be one of the villages, many villages of where the Yacona tribes would gather seasonally, almost yearly. It is also the site of our campus on part of that sand spit. And we're focused on collaboration and innovation between OSU and partner agencies. We're also a research, education, and outreach campus for coastal sciences and estuary sciences, okay? Here's our new Marine Studies building. This building was started construction in 2018. It adds a ton of classroom laboratory space. It also serves as a vertical evacuation ramp and a center in the event of a tsunami in our area. One of three that represents that area, that supports that area. And it officially opened fall of 2021 to the public. This is under construction. And I want to fly through these. This is its structure now. This is how beautiful this building is. It holds 250 to 300 people in our nice auditorium. We have a number of our BI 450 students, the marine biology and ecology students, give their final presentations in this auditorium. We also hold the Big Blue Film Festival that's happening in January. So this will be our second annual one in there, combining the science and the arts. We also have an innovation lab. How many of you have been in the innovation lab? Okay, we need to change that. So the innovation lab is one of a network of innovation labs for the university. And in there, we have Drummond Wengrove, who is the iLab manager. You have the opportunity when you're on campus, stop by and say hi. Talk to Drummond, find out what kind of projects are going on. This is a space that is your space to be able to utilize in developing new and innovative platforms for monitoring, for sampling. We have several different areas within the Innovation Lab that focus on electronics, machining, welding, 3D printing, and design, all housed in one space that's trying to combine the idea of design across disciplines in marine science. And then taking those instruments out in the field to do the work that we do out in the field. From going down to the bottom of the ocean with optics, running gels, taking drones out to do survey work, all of that stuff. And partnerships with industry, particularly fisheries. The building also represents this merge between art and science. How many of you have heard of the Marine Studies Initiative? Okay, some folks. This initiative came about that really kind of brought together a lot of folks across colleges at the university to focus on leveraging our marine science strengths here across all disciplines and incorporating the College of Liberal Arts to look at how we understand large issues, wicked issues in the marine environment by combining not only the science, but lenses from social science, art, history, literature, psychology. And so we've incorporated many more exhibits throughout the marine studies building. It's a rotating exhibit, so you'll see new ones coming in all the time. This one that we started off with was called the Blue Heart. How many of you have seen this one? Anyone? This was using the Japanese art printing, fish printing, called Gyataku. That essentially, you can measure the size of a fish by painting it and then getting a print off of it historically. And has now turned into an art form that possibly may be also informing data around fisheries. This is a self-portrait of Jamie Yuchenko using that Gyataku printing art style. Like I mentioned, it's a vertical evacuation center. The top of the building holds and can support over 900 people for 2 days in the event of a tsunami. So we have rations, supplies, water, tents, all that on top. It's also designed and engineered to withstand a 9.0 earthquake and still operate. If you haven't had a tour of the Marine Science Center's Gladys Valley Marine Studies building, come and check it out. There's a whole tour around the design of it, how it serves as this vertical evacuation center, one of 3 in that area. So the Marine Studies building brings together a lot of different partners and a lot of different researchers from different colleges within the university in this building, focused on collaborative partnerships in research, education, and outreach. This is a map of the campus, and all the orange buildings are OSU buildings. Some of these blue buildings are NOAA buildings. Purple's EPA. Gives you a sense of how big of a presence different entities are. It's a 49-acre campus right on the bay with ship operations right up front, and then across the street is the NOAA's Marine Operations Center for the Pacific. That's the headquarters for the entire NOAA Pacific Fleet. The headquarters for the Atlantic Fleet is in Norfolk, Virginia, but is now moving to Newport, Rhode Island. Okay, so we have a lot of marine mammal research that happens as well through the Marine Mammal Institute, doing a number of surveys, research projects, the labs. I'm sorry? That's yours. Oh, thank you. You didn't see that. Thank you. There's a lot of cetacean work that happens out of the Marine Mammal Institute. They're also starting to look and do more pinniped work. That institute has doubled in size just in the last 3, maybe 4 years, with a number of faculty researchers, graduate students, postdocs, and just the sheer number of labs. We also have a very strong aquaculture focus at the Marine Science Center, focused on oysters, seaweed, and that's Chris Langdon, who is our lead oyster guy, who essentially has operated and directed the molluscan broodstock program for at least 30 years. We are also the site of the myth that bacon seaweed exists. So if you haven't heard in the news back in the, before the pandemic, this dulse was a seaweed that was marketed as tasting like bacon. It It does not, but still quite healthy. We also do a lot of ecosystem climate research through the Marine Science Center. Everything from here's Bob Cowan, our director of the Marine Science Center, looking at a zooplankton sample, part of the research he does with ISIS and a number of different cruises. We also have a strong marine fisheries genetics program. We also have the ship operations out front. And you all may have heard of the RV Tawny that's coming. Tawny is a word used by less people, meaning offshore. This will be, I believe, the largest research vessel that OSU has held at the Marine Science Center. It's 199 feet. I'm not sure when it's going to be arriving, but I know it's on its way. It's replacing the Oceanus and the Wacoma, which were two vessels that we had prior to them retiring. We still have the Alaka, which some of our faculty here are very familiar with. And we use that for research and courses. And then we also have a number of federal and agency partners at this campus that includes NOAA, EPA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Department of Agriculture. And with that, we also have the, as a land grant institution, we have experiment stations throughout all the different counties of the state. And this one is focused on marine resources. So I like to think of this as everything from managing the and understanding the ecology of our organisms out in the ocean to how they end up marketed and on your plate at a restaurant or at your home. Simers, Francis Chan is the director of this. This is a 10-year partnership, formal partnership between OSU and NOAA. Supports a lot of graduate students with graduate funding. And it's the Cooperative Institute for Marine Ecosystem Resource Studies. How am I doing on time? 4:20. 4:20, okay. Thank you. So these are some of the areas of research within COMS, Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station. We have marine renewable energy that's happening out on the coast through PacWave. PacWave has two sites, testing sites for testing marine renewable energy technology. It's part of an affiliate of the Pacific Marine Energy Center, which is a larger organization. Just built a new structure here that will be staging for testing things out here. This is the setup that they have planned for PacWave. And Sarah Hinkle, who's one of our faculty here, is involved in doing a lot of benthic ecology work related to the marine renewable energy, well, PMAC. We also have the Global Ocean Observing System, otherwise known as OOI, the Ocean Observing Initiative, primarily through CEOS, the College of Earth, Ocean, Atmospheric Sciences, essentially wiring the bottom of the ocean with some fiber optic cables, connecting it with a network of sensors, incorporating not only buoyed and anchored, but also AUVs. And that just kind of gives you this larger glimpse of the Marine Science Center. We also have weekly research seminars every Thursday afternoon. If you're interested, you can use this QR code to access the Zoom info for this, as well as you can go to our past seminar page and access all of our recorded seminars. I will highlight, if you show up Thursday at 3 o'clock, we have cookies and coffee as well. We also have a YouTube page, Instagram. And those kind of highlight the Marine Science Center. So now I'm going to go into what we do as far as courses and teaching and place-based learning. So the Marine Science Center is a diversity of experiential education opportunities. All these images kind of highlight student engagement, student access, Clearly, I would consider Hatfield Marine Science Center to be one of the most dynamic, engaging centers for undergraduates and graduate students, and hopefully for faculty. And we're trying to really recognize that we have multiple colleges that utilize this university-wide resource on the coast that incorporate different majors in all these different colleges and all kinds of research related to these different colleges. We practice and support undergraduate education as well as K-12 education out on the coast. Our busiest time ends up being summer, spring being the startup of kind of the, if you think of the academic year here being fall through spring, our academic year really is spring through fall. Spring is when we get started. Summer is when we are maxed out in housing, maxed out in all of our labs, maxed out in all of our spaces. And then fall term, we start winding down. And in part, I think we're very field driven in our work. And as a result of that, we have the opportunity to pilot really innovative models for teaching, for creating access. When I first started in 2007, we really only had the spring marine biology course. We had a fall coastal ecology resource management course. And that was really about it. We had like 1 or 2 courses in the summer, nothing in the winter. And so the director at that time, George Bullard, wanted to really increase and develop undergraduate opportunities and undergraduate presence at the Marine Science Center. That's where I came in. So developing our summer session program, bringing different colleges to offer and pilot innovative courses that incorporate this place space, which had a rich amount of resources to take students out and get these experiences, and ideally increase retention, let alone the recruitment of students in STEM, in particularly marine sciences. So we got to pilot a number of different models of courses, from a weekend course, 4-day courses, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10-week options. We got to play around with that until finally we have a really solid summer session program. We have a very solid spring marine biology program, and then we're working on really broadening and creating a more comprehensive fall program. Part of the development of bridging main campus and the Marine Science Center was developing first year experiences. So when I first arrived, one of the big conversations about retention of students in biology, in chemistry, and physics was that after the first quarter of their first school year, students would change majors or drop out. So one idea was, borrowing from OIMB, was developing a first year weekend course, which brought first year students who were exploring majors, as well as first year majors in declared biology, chemistry, or physics, to come out and experience what it would be like to be at their Marine Science Center. This broadened into multiple weekend courses in the College of Forestry, as well as College of Science, as well as the College of Ag Sciences, where we bring students out to the coast. They spend a whole weekend learning about a different topic related to their different college, and getting to experience what it was like to be at a Marine Science Center, and also learning about all the different other opportunities to be looking forward to in their sophomore, junior, senior year. So essentially building this recruitment of students for our marine biology course, for our coastal ecology resource management course, and our summer programs, and all of our internship programs. So we had a number of these different weekend courses, started developing hybrid with eCampus showing up. our 10-week marine biology and ecology course, and then finally our summer session program. So we have a solid structure at the Marine Science Center of bringing students out to the field, to the Marine Science Center, getting involved, not only through their courses, but through their through opportunities in research, policy, education, and outreach. Number of different internships. Not all internships are research, I want to highlight. And so with that summer RU program, the Marine Science Center, I direct this RU program. It is one of the largest marine science RU programs in the country, one of the most longest running RU programs in geosciences, and we've probably supported up to 400 students since I started the RU program. And we hope to continue being the lead in this area and growing capacity. And I'm going to talk about that when we talk about pandemic transformations. We also partner with the Port Orford Field Station and have incorporated them as part of our family of opportunities for research and education and internships. We have a number of internship opportunities through different host agencies and programs. A number of programs within Oregon Sea Grant. All of that highlights there's quite an enterprise of opportunity for undergraduate students, and for that matter, graduate students out at the Marine Science Center. When the pandemic came, pandemic transformations, this building was done. We had a brand new building, which was a culture shift for our campus, and one that we hope will be a very good one. We explored a lot of different ways of maintaining access to a field station or a marine lab, in this case, the Marine Science Center. So most internship programs shut down during the summer. We opted to run a completely remote RU program, one of the few programs in the country that did this. And we supported 12 students in that first summer. We learned a lot on building online learning communities using a lot of these new technologies called Zoom at that time, as well as a number of other online platforms to really try to maintain a learning community that was located in different geographic regions, yet still meeting regularly, not only as a group or cohort, but also maintaining their connection and relationship with their research lab and doing their research projects. So we explored a lot of different formats, and we still are continuing to do that. And that actually is one of the most innovative things that have come out of the pandemic for internships, is looking at how different models of mentoring and different ways of meeting capacity for clearly an increase in the number of students wanting to gain research experience of some sort. So during that pandemic time, we also started OSU Run. This is Research for Undergraduates Network. This is a group that started meeting during the pandemic to figure out, what the heck are we going to do? We have internships. How are we going to support students to keep gaining or maintaining or doing what they're doing? So through the Office of Undergraduate Research, Sophie Pierzalowski, who was the director at that time, Stephanie Ramos is the new director now. We developed basically a community of practice around folks who ran internship programs. This culminated in a paper that we got published during the pandemic, really highlighting the ability and mechanisms for creating coordination at a university around internships. I mentioned NAML. NAML was a big help going through the pandemic. Networking with a number of other folks who are facing the same thing at a field station or a marine lab. And how do we, again, maintain access to field stations and marine labs, maintain access to research opportunities, and maintain access for field courses. Part of the pandemic, we had not retrofit, but a upgrade to our seawater classrooms. How much time do I have?
You're good. It's 4:33.
4:33, great, okay. During the pandemic, I was teaching BI 111, which brings the weekend course that brings students out. We couldn't bring them anymore, obviously, because of the pandemic. So we figured out ways to make organisms and the field station accessible to our students. And we used technology to do that. So working with university academic technology, we started developing and playing with Zoom, cameras, microscopes, until we finally arrived at this unique layout. I have not seen a marine lab that has this yet, where we have HD cameras mounted on dental arms that are usually used for x-rays, with these cameras that are mounted in a hub that can also project not only onto your phone, onto a monitor in the classroom, and also can be recorded and pushed live through Zoom. Nate Kirk. Some of you may know Nate Kirk, who's an instructor here, ran with this amazingly during the summer through our invert zoology course. He's turned his course into a CURE course. CURE standing for, anyone know? CURE?
Course-based undergraduate research experience.
Yes. Research experiences through your course. He's working on a paper that all the students that were in that class will be consortium authors on that paper related to what they did with, well, Virginia probably knows, all the sea anemones and the fighting behavior that they were observing, collecting data, binning as part of this research project as part of the class. So this is the layout. We're very fortunate. There's only one other place at the university campus that has this set up, and that is the chemistry demonstration lab. Other things that happened during the pandemic was Undergraduate Field Experiences Research Network. This is an NSF research coordination network, bringing together folks who basically support and direct and run and design field experiences for undergraduates. And so we held an annual, as part of their annual meeting, a focus on envisioning the future of undergraduate field education around virtual experiences. And so this is where we start seeing this growth in virtual experiences, immersive virtual experiences, immersive virtual field trips, whole number of different, this is a whole area of research in education that is just busting out. The Organization of Biological Field Stations, also very engaged, very supportive of this, the virtual field. So we got an NSF rapid grant at the start of the pandemic to make sure field stations and marine labs were accessible for faculty who are teaching, for undergraduates. And so we developed this platform, and it has grown through the support of OBFS and NAML to incorporate ecosystem exploration videos, where Sarah Gravem, who's one of our faculty here, was featured as part of a Live from the Field program, which brought 3 researchers around a single theme, videotaping them out in the field, and then bringing them back into a classroom with other, bringing them to classrooms live through a live panel. So it was a full 1-hour program that was done more than quarterly at the start. Now I believe it is quarterly. But again, getting students out in the field virtually, learning observation skills, to bridging research and research activity and careers to our undergraduates. And all that is based on the Ecological Society of America's 4DE framework. It's a framework for understanding ecological processes. It's a guide for education at the high school and college level. Like I mentioned, Sarah Graham was featured, and one of our most popular Live from the Field programs. And then we started exploring 360-degree cameras. And so we have a project now that's spinning off, looking at seasonal videos at different field stations and marine labs around the country, actually around the world, at 4 times of the year, at both the solstices and at the equinoxes. And we're training folks at field stations and marine labs, educators, researchers, graduate students who are interested in being involved in this to participate in this project, learn how it's done. And then we're hoping to grow this even more because we also received an NSF RCN, Research Coordination Network, to bring faculty who teach first-year biology at universities around the country, at community colleges around the country, to utilize some of these activities. We've built some scaffolding curriculum that can be implemented in first-year biology courses. And we're bringing in field station marine lab folks, undergraduate students, videographers, virtual learning researchers, DEI group leaders, instructional faculty, and graduate student teaching assistants to basically develop this whole other piece. And so we just started we had a pilot. It was successful. We just got funding for 4 years starting now. Also during this time, you may or may not be familiar with the term COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning. So at the same time that all this stuff was happening, we were building relationships with the University of Aruba, and their focus was really trying to get research opportunities across our different institutions, particularly between Hatfield Marine Science Center and University of Aruba. Because of the pandemic and the shutdown, we looked into developing a fully online international learning course, bridging sociology from the College of Liberal Arts, environmental sciences from the College of Earth, Ocean, Atmospheric Sciences, and biology, College of Sciences, with University of Aruba to look at Coast Compare, Aruba and Oregon, looking at marine resources, management, ecotourism, history, culture, geography, as well as geology, looking at all these different aspects between these 2 different coasts. We've done it now for 3 spring terms. We're doing another one this spring term. And what's nice about this is it is now starting to, and here's the COIL model. I'll give you a moment to look at that. This is a model that is used typically for making international learning opportunities happen at the university level, not necessarily at a class level, but more of an activity level. It's a big load to try to do it from scratch, but fortunately we were able to. Most of the activities that I've seen with COIL, with the SUNY's Center for COIL, are outside of STEM, mostly business, mostly history, marketing, all these, not really in the sciences, which I thought was really interesting. So I think this is another area of growth in developing online international learning courses and opportunities. And so that's what we've done. So this year we're going to start our OSU Go program to Aruba during spring break. Ideally, we'll have some students from our last 3 spring terms who will want to be part of this. And so eventually we are looking to do full summer internship research exchanges between the 2 institutions. So this brings me, how am I doing on time?
Oh, I'm guessing 4:45.
Oh, great. So this brings me to where we are now. So I just gave you a lot. I just gave you the setting, gave you all the resources and activities that are happening at the Marine Science Center and the pandemic transformation that we've really been going through. And so this gives you a glimpse into all the activities that I've been focused on at the Marine Science Center. And I'm hoping this creates an open welcome and bridge for collaboration and partnerships with any of our faculty, any of our postdocs, any of our graduate students who want to be engaged and broaden their professional development, their teaching, their research, with any of these resources. So I want you to recognize through me, there are a number of different networks that you can access beyond the university that hopefully will end up being a very positive future direction for all of you. And so a couple articles I wanted to highlight I came across recently was this place-based education through immersive virtual experiences, preparing biology students for the field. And this is really looking at, can virtual field experiences replace the in-person actual field experiences? Most folks say no. And most folks recognize that virtual field experiences are great at preparing students for going out in the field, at alleviating concerns, anxieties, and also increasing a sense of belonging, a sense of confidence and self-efficacy around going out in the field, doing field sciences. Still don't know if they can be replaced or how good are virtual field experiences. And so I'm part of a group that's putting together an NSFI use proposal, which is looking at undergraduate education through an assessment, looking at a similar design as this, looking at actually how impactful are virtual field experiences in relation to the actual field experiences. So stay tuned for that. And then this is an interesting one that I would recommend everyone. It's a short read, but it's really, this guy is from the UK and he's starting an institute focused on experiential education and recognizing that we just assume that a student or anyone, when they do a field experience, they just come out like, oh, they got it. But no one's really looked at or broken down like we do in a classroom in teaching how field experiences actually build up. What's the structure that builds up a student that will go on to be a faculty member, a leading researcher, environmental resource manager at an agency. This black box is really interesting to me. And I'm hoping that some of you will be interested in having conversations about this with me after today. And so these are the questions I'll just like pose up and maybe we can talk about them after the seminar or at Mexico Lindo, or anytime this year. So thank you for your time. I know that was a lot, not a typical research talk, but I think you'll see that everything that I covered, I think hopefully something resonates with you that you'll be able to take away and it will be helpful for you. Thank you.
Before we turn over questions, it was mentioned, but please, we're going to Mexico Lindo, which is just over there, walkable in the shopping center over that one. We're going to congregate there. Any grad student that goes, I'll get you a beer. So there's a little incentive, or whatever you like to drink. I can't drink. Anyway, so let's turn it over for questions here. Yeah, maybe we'll meet around here shortly after the seminar for folks.
Great. All right, any questions? Yes.
So Jeremy asked, as you're likely well aware, the greatest area of undergraduate growth for IB is our eCampus zoology major. Based on your pandemic experiences, what advice do you have for our community about how we can effectively engage our remote students in research activities that are mutually beneficial, while also recognizing that these students often have a variety of demands that prevent their ability to travel and engage in person?
Yeah, great question, Jeremy. Thanks for that question. I think if I understand this right, and please let me know if I don't get this, understand the question right, but clearly technology has been able to increase capacity, broaden capacity, or broaden access to opportunities. I think that it's all still got to be student-centered. We could go like a traditional route and create something that isn't one size fits all, and then address who it doesn't fit. There's a lot of conversations about ableism and how that can actually be supported by some of this new technology, these new modalities. I think that's a great question. I think it's a complicated one that actually go back. One that you know, I'm really trying to pay attention to this individual and what they're trying to start up, because it's really a conversation, and it's happening worldwide. It is definitely happening worldwide. You read any papers outside, they're looking at ramping up, incorporating this technology, AI, in developing better training modules across the board in every industry, every discipline. So a lot of things are changing quickly. So I don't have a good answer for you, Jeremy, but I would love to have a conversation about that. Other questions? Yes.
What prompted the COIL relationship with Aruba?
So University of Aruba approached us and actually met with a whole bunch of university folks. Came out to the Marine Science Center. They started a program. The director started this program called SISTEM, Sustainable Island Systems Through STEM. And it's actually through, so Aruba, University of Aruba is supported through Denmark. And there's, I forget the university there, but they basically are supporting foundation students to complete their first and second, maybe third year, and then going to Denmark and completing their undergraduate degree there. They're recognizing that the Marine Science Center is this great opportunity and resource for their students to get research experience. And they're slowly building that program. We were talking about doing physical research exchanges, in part because our RU program is such a kind of like an anchor for the structure that we have out at Hatfield, that they wanted to plug their students into it. But the pandemic hit. And so one way that literally I was just looking online, trying to figure out ways, and I came across SUNY's COIL, Center for COIL. And they have all this rich, great information, but none of it really environmental sciences, none of it sciences. But the model, the principles we apply to doing this with sociology, Dwayne Plaza and Larry Becker in environmental sciences. And I think it's because we all at some point met when they did come before the pandemic, and we were able to just organically interact and hey, let's try this opportunity out as a fully online international learning course. Now, mind you, difficult with time zones. Always got to pay attention to time zones. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.